But I'd like to start this evening's conversation knowing that we have two members of the Senate from the Transportation Committee talking about what, if anything, is happening on transportation. So should we start with our veteran Senator Ann Rest? What about transportation?
Well, right now, the transportation conferees, the two chairs, Representative Kelly and Senator Dibble, have had a number of discussions, and the Senate and House leadership have decided that the transportation bill, hopefully a good workable compromise that Republicans and Democrats in both houses can support, will be the priority bill to be worked on over this weekend. And the governor announced this afternoon that his staff is going to be in communication and is going to be working all weekend long in order to present a compromise to the House and Senate leaders, including the two transportation leaders, on Monday. And if that pans out and is acceptable, that following that compromise, that presentation, if it's acceptable, that then we would move on to the bonding bill and the tax bill. So the leaders did have a meeting this afternoon that included eventually the chairs of the respective transportation committees, and the time is getting short, but we're very, very hopeful that there will be some agreement that we can all support, or most of us can support.
Senator Osmek, your thoughts?
Not much more to say about beyond that. A lot of being in St. Paul is watching for the smoke signals to see what's coming and what's not coming. You don't know what they're going to be coming back with. I am very hopeful that there is a transportation package that can focus on what, as far as I'm concerned, are the priorities of Minnesotans, which is roads and bridges. And I'm not beyond transit. I think that we have some carriers in the metropolitan area. I serve a metropolitan type of district. These opt-out carriers such as Southwest Transit or Plymouth Metrolink have a wonderful service, and I'm very supportive of those types of services and improving them if we can. They actually had a test project which was a district to one district to another. I think they called it B2B, I forget what the exact term was, where Southwest was actually going into another territory and they were trading people. It was a pilot project with a direct link between the carriers. They found out that it didn't work. Well, the good news is they found out it didn't work and they stopped it, and they're looking at saving the money for other types of projects. And I think that's something that they should be commended on. But I'm hopeful that a transportation bill can come out that we can all be supportive of.
Representative Norris, transportation, any thoughts?
We'll have hope, I guess, that something's going to happen that's positive. It's hard to say whether that's more important than the taxes or bonding. I think they're all equal. But
you have to start somewhere.
That's
They're going to start with transportation, apparently.
And it does. Transportation will affect everybody in the whole state of Minnesota. I mean, it's border to border. And I just came over to the studio here, and part of 94 is really closed down to 2 lanes. So there's a lot of construction going on right now. Some of it maybe isn't major. I don't know what they're doing, but I was worried I'd be late here. But so I
wouldn't have started without you.
I think I've been late before, and you have started without me. But so there's a lot of things going on. I just hope that whatever we have is going to be not for, everybody isn't going to be jumping up and down, but if it's something we can all live with. I'm not as hung up on this long-term 10-year. I'd like to see us look at immediate needs and beyond that. But if it's that long-term that's a problem, maybe we can shorten the term up a little bit to make it workable. But again, I don't serve on the committee. I'm just one of those spectators at this point, waiting for something to happen that we can all, have something to say about.
Representative Hilstrom?
Well, I don't serve on transportation, never have, although it's something that's very, very important to my community. We are very transit dependent in the district that I represent, and so having a comprehensive transportation bill that takes into account the needs of all of Minnesotans, I think, is very, very important. And I am worried, we have a $900 million surplus currently, but if you take all of the money only for transportation and you leave nothing else, it will make it very, very difficult to balance the other bills, which I think are also really important. So I'm hoping that we can come up with a long-term solution for transportation. Minnesotans are kind of tired of gridlock, and we cannot allow our infrastructure to deteriorate. So those are very high priorities, I believe, for Minnesotans. Even the chamber has come out and said they need a transportation system that works. And so if the citizens say we need it and business says we need it, I think it's time we do it.
One of the positives just of the last session is when we helped some of the smaller communities, with some of their streets. So I'm hopeful that we'll continue to do that, maybe increase that some, and also help the townships, because they're kind of left out of this sometimes. So the townships have roads that need to be worked on, and of course the counties and then the state roads. So I hope it encompasses
and for that,
all of those.
we need a bonding bill, because of course we can use bonds in the bonding bill for local roads and bridges. We can't bond for state roads; that's against the Constitution.
And
but
I
we
think
certainly
that-
can help local communities, and that's what we've done
Sure.
in the past through the bonding bill rather than through the transportation bill.